Welcome to Sarpy Outlook, a program dedicated to democratic ideals from an issue-based perspective. This year, however, we are focusing on candidates who embody those ideals by running for public office. I'm Peg O'Dea Lippert. I'm honored to have as our guest State Senator Sue Crawford, representing Legislative District 45 and running for re-election. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you, Peg. It's great to be here with you.
Sue was and is a rare find in legislative matters. Not only is she a professor of political science at Creighton University, she also teaches in the university's Health Administration Policy Program. She holds faculty positions in the Rabbi Meyer and Dorothy Kripik Center for the Study of Religion and Society, and in the Center for Health Services, Research, and Patient Safety. Her teaching and research at Creighton focuses on public policy and civic engagement. Armed with and continuing this work, Sue is possibly the most qualified senator in the Unicameral. She hit the ground running. It did not take her a year or two to find her voice. She had it, and she used it, introducing 20 bills that passed, with only 2 requiring additional state general fund spending. Sue is running for a second term to represent Legislative District 45 and indeed all of Nebraska. Sue, let's start with what else you want the voters to know about you, the legislator, you, the professor, you, the wife, and you, the mother, before we get into more details about your candidacy.
Sure. Thank you, Peg, and thank you for that warm introduction. I appreciate that very much. It's really a team effort, and so we have a great staff, great team that helps us to be effective. I appreciate that. So also, I have a team at home. So I'm married to David, and we've been married 26 years. 20 of those years we've spent here in Bellevue and in Nebraska. We've been blessed to both have good jobs with good wages and time that we're able to spend with our family. We have 2 sons, and also we've had affordable housing within walking distance of public schools for those 20 years, and that's just been a great blessing. And so one of the reasons that it's important to me to be engaged and effective in the unicameral is to make sure that other families in Bellevue and other families in Nebraska have that chance to have a great family life and access to good public schools, nice, safe neighborhoods, and opportunities to work and get paid a decent wage and have time with their family.
Thank you, Sue. As I followed your action in the unicameral, which, by the way, is easy because Sue puts out a newsletter every week during the session, it occurs to me that you accomplished more in your first year than many do in their first 4 years. Now that you have one whole term behind you, what do you consider your major accomplishments?
Well, Peg, I think the thing that will change the way government works the most are the bills that we pass to add transparency on government contracts and government regulations. But those are pretty invisible to other people. So I think what most people will notice in the district are things that we've accomplished on the issues that they have talked to me the most about. When I went door to door 4 years ago, people talked about their concern about the learning community, especially the common levy and transportation costs with the learning community. They talked about military retirement pay, and they talked about over-testing in the public schools, and they talked a lot about mental health. And on all of those fronts, I've been able to make progress on all of those fronts. We just ended the common levy. We're phasing out the costly transportation program, and we have started to exempt military retirement pay, and we are making progress on mental health access. One of the bills that I passed to change the rules for nurse practitioners opens up a whole new field in terms of new opportunities for people to get mental health from nurse practitioners. And we just passed a bill that really tackles that over-testing as well just this past year. So we've really tackled all of those things that we've heard people talk about 4 years ago, and we have some progress on those and still more to be done.
Are there other experiences or successes in Lincoln that you'd like to talk about, Sue?
Well, our office works hard to be effective, engaged, and evidence-based. And so we work hard to live up to that motto every day. And one of the things that's interesting as a political scientist working in the Unicameral is that at the state level, when you're trying to make choices about what's going to work and what's not going to work, you often can look at evidence from other states. And so it's a unique place to be because I really can use my social science expertise to look at evidence and make decisions based on what we've seen in terms of which policies actually work in other states and which policies sound great but don't actually work.
So it's using good sense too to
not
reinvent
some
the
good
wheel.
Common sense, absolutely.
Reinvent the wheel at all times.
Right.
Remarkable. I think that the interesting thing about the mental health issue is that I imagine it's easier to place the nurse practitioners in rural areas than perhaps to get physicians to go there where there's a great need. We know.
Yeah, there's a nurse practitioner specialty in psychiatric care, and it's easier to place them in rural areas, in schools, in public health clinics. So there are a lot of places now where we can have nurse practitioners practicing more than we were able to have before.
And that's without the supervision, is that correct? A medical doctor?
So they used to have a contract with a doctor.
Okay.
They still work with physicians, they still work with other practitioners, but they no longer have to have a piece of paper that's in an office in Lincoln that's a contract with the doctor. They're able to go out and have their own contracts with different providers to provide that care.
That's a big and important change. You know, something we haven't touched on, Sue, is your committee work. And I know you serve on at least one, if not more, committees. Would you talk a bit about that, please?
Absolutely. So I serve on 3 committees, and I'm chair of Urban Affairs Committee. And that's the committee that really makes the state rules for municipalities, all the way down to villages. It's called Urban Affairs, but really it's municipal affairs, including rural villages as well. So the state sets the groundwork for what municipalities can do, and our committee is in charge of all of those rules. That includes the rules about economic development, and that's been an emphasis of our committee, especially in the last year, is to really dig into those economic development laws and see what those tools are and see how they need to be upgraded and updated. And so we had a big study on that last year, and then this year we passed several bills to update several of those tools. So that's the committee that I'm a chair of, and that's on Tuesdays. On Mondays, I'm in Business and Labor. That's where we set rules about the workforce and the state laws about worker protections and worker incentives, those kinds of policies. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm in Health and Human Services.
Oh my!
And that's where we've done a lot of work on mental health and other health issues in that committee.
I'm interested in the Urban Affairs Committee because that ties well into your district, doesn't it, with the efforts
Absolutely.
that are being made on behalf of the city of Bellevue, for example.
Right. And I think it's really good. Often the person in that chair position has been from Lincoln or from Omaha, and so I'm there as from Bellevue, so I can represent Bellevue interests and other first-class city interests across the state as well. So I think it's important that that perspective is getting represented.
A little smaller city view than we've seen in the past. That's interesting, Sue. Maybe there's something that you hope to accomplish that you didn't, or some downside or any disappointment that you experienced in this first term?
My biggest disappointment at the end of this first term is that we still have 70,000 Nebraskans without access to health care. And we're giving up over $1 billion of federal investment that could be coming to Nebraska. So we're paying the taxes, we're paying the fees, but we're not bringing any of that money back. And I think it's just been for ideological, partisan purposes. I think it really is a no-brainer when you just look at the evidence and look at what's effective and what's worked in other places. Expanding Medicaid has worked in other places and covered people and helped to tackle mental health issues and other issues in the state, including recidivism. So there's all kinds of reasons why it could have been and will in the future hopefully be a very important step for our state to take.
And that's some of our most vulnerable people on all levels of economy as well as health.
But it's not just about the vulnerable people, because that impacts the healthcare system for all the rest of us.
Indeed,
so in terms
it
of
does.
putting hospitals at risk, putting health providers at risk, all that uncompensated care that we now pay for in our premiums, I mean, it impacts all of us.
That's
I mean, it's
true.
critical for the life and health of those most vulnerable, but all the rest of us also are
affected.
harmed by the fact that we haven't moved in this direction.
Do you think that there is a possibility that that will make it? I mean, the federal funding, as I understand, is diminishing as each year goes by. Is that correct?
That's true. Yeah. So we missed our window of 100% federal funding. It still remains pretty high. So it'll be a discussion we'll continue to have.
So we'll try again next
Right.
term. It's a new session.
Right.
Yes. Let's talk a bit about the campaign. So your hopes, perhaps a word about the opposition in this nonpartisan race, and most importantly, why the voters should vote for you.
Right. So we're using the campaign to really remind the voters that we've been effective and engaged and that we've accomplished a lot and we have many results. So we're just using our mail and our calls and my time with voters door to door to reconnect with them and tell them what we've accomplished and ask them what their concerns still are and listen to those and show them that we've gotten results. And including ending the common levy, including some things that we didn't even know we were going to have to tackle, like the funding for the levies around Offutt. And so we're just getting that word out and telling people what we've accomplished and what we have left to do and why that's so important. And there's a lot of negative mail and calls that are coming into the district from the Nebraska Republican Party. But I think people are sick of that kind of Trump-like politics. And so I'm confident, and I have confidence in the voter, that they'll know it's important to elect someone who will be effective. There's so much that happens in your district that is shaped by state law, and often people don't know. So to have someone in Lincoln who is engaged enough to know what's important in the district and effective enough to go to Lincoln and get it done is really critical. And I'm hoping the voters have seen that in me and that they'll know it's important to keep me there for that reason.
That's what I was wondering. So you talked about your door-to-door during your first campaign and listening and actually implementing many of the suggestions of the constituents. Do they understand that? Can you get that message out? This is what you told me last time and this is what I did. I mean, that's such a complete circle of communication. I just hope that they get it.
I hope so too. And we try to communicate with the voters regularly. If they send us an email about a topic, when we are able to address that topic, we try to send a follow-up email telling them how we addressed it. Or sometimes someone asks us to do something that we can't do. And so in that case, we try to be very upfront with them to tell them, here's why we can't do what you're asking us to do, and here's why. And so we just work hard on trying to help them see that. It's not just about me in that case of letting them know what I was able to accomplish for them. For me, it's also very critical because I think it's important that people have trust in their government. And so it's important to me that people see that so they know that if they elect good people, they can know they can get things done and that government can be a positive force for good change. And that's really important to me. Important to me as a Democrat is to show this is what government can look like. And this is the kind of positive things that can happen if you elect people who are committed and willing to be effective.
Wonderful. Do you get much feedback on your newsletter?
We do, mostly positive feedback.
Does it
which
go
is
to
great.
all your constituents or just those who voted for you, or does it go to everyone in the district?
So our newsletter goes to anyone who asks.
Oh, really?
So you don't have to be in the district. Anybody who asks to be on our newsletter is on the newsletter. When I have town halls or when we are in public meetings, I usually have a sign-up sheet and tell people, if you'd like to be on our newsletter, you can sign up. Anyone can email our office and get on the newsletter. And I'm very clear that this is a Senate newsletter, not a campaign newsletter. And so
it's about the work on a weekly basis that's going on.
And so anyone is welcome to be on our newsletter and to receive that. So if you're watching and are interested, just email our office and we'll be happy to put you on the list.
Well, I appreciate being on the list, and I can't even vote for you. But you're the only state senator since Nancy Thompson who has sent out an email. I never hear a word from my own state senator. So now we know what you've done and what you still hope to achieve. So what else you want to say to those voters out there, Sue?
Well, if you'd like more information, you can visit our website. We have a website at suecrawfordne.com, and that lists some of our accomplishments. It also gives you a chance, if you'd like to get involved, to volunteer or sign up for a yard sign. We also have a little feature where we allow other people who support me to put a little plug in for why they support me. So we have an option for you to, if there's something that you've seen or that you like, you're able to put that little quote in, and then we'll start featuring those in some of our websites or other materials. So that's a great way to connect with the campaign, is through our website at suecrawfordne.com.
And I know you use Facebook too, because I just saw something this morning on Facebook. Well, Sue, on behalf of the Sarpy County Democrats, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We're so proud to have you represent a portion of Sarpy County, and personally, I thank you and wish you every vote.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate your work. It's really part of the team is getting people engaged at the local level, and Sarpy County Democrats does a good job of reaching out to new people and getting them involved in politics.
Thank you.
Thank you.